Hi, my name is Jared Mello, and this is Mello Mentoring. Thank you to everyone who's been liking, commenting, and subscribing to my channel. Very, very appreciated. And if you could share my videos with people you think it could help, please, please do. Now, today's video is going to be about the problem with nice guys. And the biggest problem with nice guys is usually they're not really nice at all. They are more like weak, and they don't have the ability to be strong. Jordan Peterson says that it is not virtuous to be weak. It is virtuous to be strong and then know when to use it. And that is correct, because more often than not, what nice people really are is dishonest about what they think and feel. They do not own their realities. They are very quick to put other people's needs before their own. They are trying to manipulate people into getting their approval, into liking them, most often because they don't like themselves enough, and often they are codependent type people. And all of these, that doesn't sound very nice, does it? It sounds more like weak, because that's more accurate description of what they are. Now, I always use the example of Tywin Lannister from Game of Thrones. He's a really strong person. He owns his reality. And yes, he might go too far, but everyone around him generally submits to him. Right? His reality is the strongest in the room. He is not looking to other people to conform to or for approval on how to act. Right? Nice guys are often people that are looking around them to just see what's appropriate, what's not appropriate, as opposed to owning who they are. Now, don't get me wrong, sometimes it's appropriate to see what is acceptable in a situation, but in a fun social setting, people like it when people own who they are. Now, a lot of guys do this technique also in women's inboxes where they'll try to be nice and say compliments or etc., but the second the woman does not respond, it switches. And then all of a sudden they're calling them names and being nasty. So in reality, they weren't really being nice at all. They were more like trying to be manipulative to get something, to get the woman's approval and ultimately sex. And so there's a few questions to ask ourselves here when we think we're being nice. And one, are we being honest about what we think and about what we feel? Are we being a doormat? Are we putting other people's needs before our own? Are we putting other people's needs before our own because we want them to like us? Are we doing and saying things in order to get other people's approval? All of these are examples of not being nice, but being weak and manipulative. And it's not good. So we need to work on assertively enforcing our boundaries. We cannot respect people unless they have the capability of being strong. And most nice guys are not even capable of being strong, and so no one respects them. People with high character will treat people who are just nice and weak well, because someone with good character treats people good even if they can't do anything for them. It's the definition of character. Being able to treat people well even if they don't do anything or can't do anything for you. But other people who don't have high character, they will use and abuse people who are nice and doormats. We teach other people how to treat us, so we must be strong and respect ourselves, or no one else will. And people will more often than not treat us the way we treat ourselves. So we must be very vigilant about this, because it's not cool to be a doormat. We got to be able to be assertive. And then once we get practice with it, we can kind of get jiggy with it a little bit and enforce our boundaries just like that. And that's like what bad boys do, right? They don't give one shit about what other people think about their boundaries. And granted, they could go too far a lot of times, but they own it. And they like people who own things. People who don't own things and who are weak, manipulative, passive-aggressive, that's not very likable. And it's not very likable for a reason, because they're not being authentic. People want others to be authentic. And so a lot of nice guys struggle with this kind of thing. So we got to be aware of what our boundaries are, because if we're not aware of what our boundaries are, how will we ever enforce them? Seriously. So it's like, here's the checklist for nice guy rehab, we'll call it. It's like, do we know our boundaries? Can we assertively enforce them without being passive-aggressive or just outright aggressive? Are we doing things because we really want to do them? Are we doing things because we want to? Are we trying to put someone else's needs before our own? Are we just doing something so that someone else will like us and give us their approval? All of those examples are of not being nice, but more like of being weak and manipulative. So remember, that nice word is a terrible phrase, and we're going to try our best to not be that way. We're going to try to be strong, because then and only then can we truly be nice, when we're capable of doing harm and being assertive. Then it's actually appreciated when we're nice. People will not appreciate the light unless they experience the dark. So that's my video about the problem with nice guys, is that they're weak. And let's work on, because we all struggle with this in some ways, but let's work on being assertive. Let's work on being strong. Let's work on owning our realities, because it makes our lives better and the lives of people around us. So granted, I'm not perfect with any of this. I'm still trying to get a little better with it each day. But that's all I got for you all today. Thanks for letting me share.